The United Nations has listed reducing impacts and contributors to climate change as one of the world's crucial sustainable and developmental goals. Over the past few decades, we have seen the rapidly growing effects of climate change over the globe as higher amounts of greenhouse gases, in particular carbon dioxide, accumulate in the atmosphere, causing natural phenomena. Today, we are joined by a bioscientist on behalf of the UN, here to explain their integration of the use of genetically modified crops to limit climate change and lower greenhouse gas emissions.
It is likely that by the end of this century, the increase in global temperature will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. This will result in catastrophic damage to our ecosystems and livelihood via decreases to food and water availability and increases to the frequency of natural disasters, the rate of loss of biodiversity, and global temperatures. One inspiring biologist at Salk Institute, California, Joanne Shorey, offers a way to not only reduce our global carbon dioxide emissions, but to also reduce the levels of carbon dioxide in the environment using genetically modified crops. This is suberant carbon sequestration in plants. This will allow plants to absorb carbon dioxide from our atmosphere and store it deeper than their roots as suberin. This carbon will naturally be released after the plants die and decompose. However, genetically modified crops will release less carbon due to it being stored deep underground.
What progress has been made in implementing genetically modified crops?
According to an article published by Alliance for Science, around 17 million farmers in approximately 26 countries around the world currently grow genetically modified crops. Genetically modified herbicide-tolerant crops are one example of how biotechnology has revolutionized the industry. They require significantly less fuel usage to tend for. The total carbon dioxide savings attributed to this in 1996 to 2016 was roughly 30 million kilograms. This is analogous to removing roughly 18 million cars off the road for the year. This is significant progress towards the United Nations goal to implement climate change measures into national policies.
In terms of future directions, what do you suppose we do?
With what has been stated, it is clear that we need more funding and emphasis towards implementing these changes on a greater scale across not only our nation but across the globe. In Australia, the Office of the Gene Technology Regulator has currently approved trials for genetically modified wheat, banana, and rice crops. These crops aim to improve food security by producing herbicide and drought-tolerant crops that produce higher yields. If these plants were modified to additionally have deeper roots that store greater amounts of carbon, it would dramatically decrease agricultural greenhouse gas emissions nationwide.
The summary of today would be that there is an abundance of evidence to highlight the promising future that the implementation of genetically modified crops will provide for our planet. Successful trials have proven that genetically modified crops not only reduce the high agricultural carbon emissions, but also remove levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere through maximizing suberin carbon sequestration. Genetic engineering is a biologist's greatest tool to modify our existing agricultural industry to implement both preventative and preparative methods to combat climate change.